Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. This is Geek Out 113, The Perfect Run by Maxime J. Durand, also known as Void Herald. If you couldn't tell, I got a bit of a different setup going on. Going to be doing our best for everything. And yeah, I really enjoyed the book. It was a recommendation from someone on our Discord channel. If I remember right, it's like Omega PSI. Sorry if I butchered the name there, but I guess our spoiler free, if you haven't read the book portion, would be the main character we follow. His power is essentially a interpretation on Schrodinger's cat. And the Schrodinger cat, if you don't know, is if you put a cat in a box or a black box, the cat is both alive and dead because you don't know the state of the cat until you observe it. And yeah, it's a very unique take on that. Other kind of main arc or concept of the book is post apocalyptic. There has been several wars that have happened that has made it, but just not, I guess, yeah, post apocalyptic. And then it's also kind of exciting because the power sets are gained through alchemy, or they say the alchemists that created these elixirs that allow people to gain powers. And it's very unique based off of the color of the elixir grants you a power in that domain. So, and
Yeah. Um, I went in on this book completely cold. I saw the recommendation. You and I talked a bit about it. I think you listened to it first and really enjoyed it. And we talk about like different types of palette cleansers. And for me, this one was a palette cleanser because we had been spending so much time in the lit RPG space and really enjoy like lit RPG genre, subgenres of just all those video game mechanics. And we didn't have that in this book.
Yeah, it was nice because it was a cleanser for there weren't as many stats and things to track. One of the
But
things I struggled with was the names. Like I have a hard enough time if someone has one name, let alone three or four. Because we've got the carrier, because he does the deliveries, and then Ryan, because that's his actual name, and then Cesar from his adopted family's father who had a son but is delusional, and then Quick Save, which is his superhero title. So I got lost with a bunch of the different names, but we do get several iterations of it. So
on that point, those who have listened to our other podcasts, names are not something we're really strong at, but the author, when he's doing that, I think it's because of Quick Save and his power set. As he goes through these loops and these restarts, he kind of wears different hats and different roles. And in the very beginning, he's just the courier, right? And that's like that chapter of his life where he does the deliveries. And then like as it progresses, he'll use different, names for him because like in this phase, he's just Len's brother, right? Yeah. So he's using
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, and then he's also Romano, which is, I believe, his actual last name because he was adopted. And then, like, even at the end, it switched to a different title because he was no longer a courier doing deliveries, right? And we see that also with the other heroes. And to kind of do a bit more for those of you who haven't really listened to the book or it's been a minute, as Peter was describing, like it's this dystopian future where pretty much like the world as we know it has changed because now people have superpowers, right?
Yeah.
And they could be super epic and overpowered. and other people's they turn into a freaking was it
panda?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the panda and mosquito or something. Yeah, and just like it's really, really, it was nice. And
that was my video game element that came through,
well,
was
quick
the
say was a
RNG.
gamer.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of gaming references, but the RPG aspect or game aspect of the RNG for random number generator. Hey, I was gonna say, I think it's the same guy here.
Yep.
Because
Icon
the
matches.
icon. Mysterious Master, hello, and thank you again for the recommendation. And hello, Jaded Chaos. Welcome, welcome. Chaos fits with the theme of the book as well.
That's a great way to describe Ryan, is chaos.
Yeah.
And yeah, this book was so much fun. It still scratched that gamer vibe feels. Fantasy, sci-fi, just so much fun. And yeah, just gosh, the loops and the different angles on it and the different perspectives on the problem.
And one thing that I first pass, I wasn't like super thrilled, but after second and third pass, I respected, because his whole initial thing is, hey, let's find Len, let's find his stepsister, because she's the only one who knew him before his powers, and he doesn't like to get close to people because everybody forgets him. And as we learn throughout the book, he's like 400 plus years old at this point from all his resets.
I think when he's talking to the Augustus, I forget.
I think it's Pluto.
Yeah, or not Pluto, or yeah, it could be Pluto. Closer to the 4 digits. So he would guess it's a triple digit. So he's approaching 1,000.
Not
yeah.
4th digit. Okay.
Yeah. So he's lived a lot of lives, and like his memory's really good, but you know, as far as like chronological years at this point, we run into, I think it's Polly with the face rocket launcher.
Oh yeah, the face hugger.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, it's been 2 years from his perspective, but then Quicksave has lived you know, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jaded Chaos.
Jaded.
Yeah, Pluto, she says between 500 to 1,000 years old.
That's a lot.
It's crazy. And then like his obsession with Lynn, he's literally gone lifetimes.
Well, but it also kind of goes down and explains it, where like he tried for a little bit, thought she was either gone or you know, something had happened to her, and so he went and he was doing a bunch of other stuff and lived out his wild rebellious phase and started you know, not conforming to society's norm of clothing, and you know, made his plushie, which that was another like very well written element of the book, because it's something that seems, I guess, benign or something not threatening for a plushie, but the way he keeps like hinting at it,
teases us early on,
bringing it in just for, I think we got to see the plushie in action twice, once for the recap or the backstory of it, how it was created and the genius with the brain, and then again when he goes on his espresso run for his quick one,
his suicide run, when we finally go up against was it the Meta Gang?
Yeah, when we actually go into the bunker,
right? Yeah. I want to say almost every time we have a reset, it lets us know. And the book opens up with reset number 3 before we even do the delivery to get the ghoul, right? Because of traffic, or it implies he dies to traffic.
Yeah.
And he gets further and further along. And I'm sure you did as well, really related to Talks about his side quest, his different objectives for this run and the different angles he's trying to learn. Going and working for the big corporate organization, the religious zealots, the junkies.
And there's just so many things to juggle that it wasn't a 1-for-1. You couldn't just take one piece out of the equation. You had to deal with all the ramifications. Like, I think his first one that he messes up kind of is he changes hotels because when he returned, he ended up getting blown up and having a restart. So he's like, okay, well, let's take the hotel out of the equation. But due to location, it changes the next course of action. And he actually misses his opportunity or his window for getting onto that path.
The butterfly effect. And we do so many different loops, even when we keep it consistent. Little things changes.
The plushie, and that makes me think a lot of our books recently, it used to be giant spiders was the theme, but bunnies being vicious is the new theme. In the book we're covering next week, Jeff the Game Master, there is I think it's like a void rabbit that terrorizes. And then Divine Dungeon, they have bashers, or they take bunnies and mutate them into horned rabbits. So having the plushie with a bunch of lasers and I don't think you can say trapping, but to have something from another realm.
Yeah. And again, we talked about it earlier. The author does a great job teasing us with it.
Yeah.
We don't really get to see it in action until we do the flashback when he's working with the genius. But prior to that, even Polly is afraid of the rabbit. And
there's other people who can sense it. I can't remember. I think it's a Vulcan who has the connection with the robot. Right here for Mysterious Master, it's too powerful. And like every instance, it's still in context where he goes to get the cashmere suit. Well, he leaves everything behind except for the plushie because he can't leave that. And then same thing for, when Vulcan's asking, he ends up giving her the A-bomb, and then, can't do it.
Crazy as quick save is, that's where he draws the line.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, and the part that I guess he doesn't really know about, but during his loop back when he actually creates the plushie and he saves it, we get to see a glimpse of the plushie turns itself on and then says, "We'll always be friends." And that is a very unique element that I want to know more about, and I'm intrigued for, because we have it with Mecron when the Leo, the Living Sun, is attacking the base, and we have the giant genome war. And he goes in and he opens another portal thinking it's the blue world, which is knowledge. Turns out it's not. My assumption is the black world, where we also get the elixirs being made. They mentioned they can pull from all of these except for that one. And then I would figure that is where the plushie actually came from, because it seems like any time we've reached back out to the worlds, it always ends up being the black world. And
So this is probably a first, or at least a first in a while. Pete was the first one to tackle this book, get excited about it. I listened to the first one, and then we've been trying not to go past this point, because for those of you guys who are new, the rule is we try to only do spoilers up through the book we're covering. If we've covered it in the past, it's probably fair game. Don't want to talk about book 2 in this instance. I saw that book 3 is out. I don't think it's on Audible, but I'm going to err on the side of caution and use Peter to hold me true to the no spoilers, because you've just done book 1 so far, right?
Book 1. So
you haven't listened to number 2 yet?
Yeah, true. In regards to what?
Okay. Yep. So, yes. the different power sets, how it works. The rereadability in this series is just incredible with the different loops, right? As we catch the different details. And like same thing with the powers, same thing with even just the plushie going back on the third or fourth listen. Looking forward to seeing the nearly 1,000 years of quick save that made him into this character.
Oh, yeah, I guess for going forward, there's a lot of potential that I want to see. I want to see more of what is inside the plushie. I want to see where all the alternate spawned, you have to throw a child at it, end up, because we had that whole instance of it was part of the initial parameters that it's still somewhat holding true to, where it will imprint on the first preteen. And it's just a weirdly unique element to a book. As well as an example, we get to see Mecron essentially obliterated, and that's kind of the context it leaves us in. But we also opened a portal to another world. So if something similar to the plushie coming in, Mecron going out, space travel, time, space travel things. And then like I want to see more of the advancements of like the very end of the book. We have the power suit that Vulcan made us. And there were a lot of different instances that we brought with us or that we experienced on our travel back, which was unique. So seeing more of the different worlds, because it's almost like he went back further or got a glimpse of other people who were going back in time or were touching the other realms. And then, it's
well, we learned so much about like the quote magic system with the different powers in the ending, right? I have the Kindle pulled up on my phone, and it pretty much talks about him actually going into the purple world, and we kind of get to see glimpses of that as they tease out how to like just make it all work. Mystery Master. In 2, you get to know more about Monaco and the elixirs.
I guess that's true too. We keep getting hints about
whatever
that.
you do.
Shorty
He always consistently tells them, "Don't go to Monaco." And what are our passphrases? The chicken
or the orange is in the hen house.
The orange is in the hen house.
Oh man, and he says the other line once. It's like green giant.
Yeah,
somewhere
when he's messing with Shroud.
Shroud,
Shroud, yeah.
And that's where like the post-apocalyptic thing comes in, and you get to see just there's and that's a whole separate thing, because currently the
green giant is in the garden.
Yeah, the green giant is in the garden, and then responses, the orange is in the hen house.
Yeah, Jaded Chaos says, yeah, Monaco is crazy. So again, I have gone through book 2, and yes, Monaco, really enjoy that story arc.
There's just so much potential that could be expanded forward, backward, alternate universe. But for the main people who we're dealing with, for the Augusti and the Iliolore, butchered the name, they're pretty much just trying to make a better place or have a capital or I am king. So
I mean,
hear me roar.
Like the different type of quote unquote supervillains. Like I'm not really evil. This is the way. Bliss is the way.
They're more trying to build up a foundation of people with superpowers, so to speak. Where there's a vast, expansive world, and yet again with Volcron, when she's like, oh, the underdiver, she doesn't need anyone, and I don't need her tech, but I support her because she's going to save the world, because there's 80% of the ocean that's unmapped, and she's creating habitats that can survive in this situation, which, is a complete additional arc. And then
that's true. It'll be really interesting to see how that scales. And we get to see a little bit of it in book 1 and learn more about it in book 2, but like the different power sets and how people get them, right? We learn a little bit that this is quote unquote an experiment where people get these elixirs. But as he's talking about with Volcron, he's done tests on people to see what happens to them, like when they take the elixirs, and it's not the same every time. And Lynn, who's obsessed with water, pretty much like she initially took it with the hopes that she'd be able to cure her father, but she became this crazy underwater steampunk, carry around my squirt gun with a machine gun on my, underwater suit. And then just like what she built in the short period of time, pretty much being brand new to these resources that she's getting from Vulcan for the foster kids, right? Being able to be self-sustained under the water is crazy.
I'm just calling it now. That's going to be their bat cave. And of course, the carrier.
Gosh, I gotta bite my lip. I can't remember what happens in book 1 or book 2, but yes.
And but we still.
Speaking of Batcave, what about the Batmobile in this book?
It has a lot of potential for I think there's at least 2 instances where people are like, oh my, you have a brain in here, and what's going on? Who'd you kidnap to make that work? You had to kidnap someone and put their brain in here because you don't have a driver's license,
right? They always assume the worst of him.
Yeah,
he cheats at cards. You know who else cheated?
The mammoths.
Or the
humans.
The humans with mammoths. Yeah.
Oh man. That was another thing that was very well written for me, is just the back and forth and the camaraderie, or the just witty banter. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is a little bit more adult, and I guess I didn't quite preface that. It's not explicit.
Some of them.
He did really well until he had his espresso run. Then he does actually say it, but I
can relate though. I can stay child friendly up to a certain point, but after you do a suicide run, then you stop bleeping the narrative.
Yeah.
Well,
and I guess like before that, when he's got all the guns trained on him, he's like, oh yeah, and there's one at my crotch because that's my most powerful weapon, and a lot of other banter around it.
Yes.
And how, being naked is how he is able to create his vast weapons.
Clarification. He does mad science in his boxers. The last time he did it completely naked.
Yeah, he made the
plushie.
Yeah.
So there's a line in the sand. And doing science, you can't be completely nude, but the oppression of clothing, dampens him, stifles him, whatever. So then he has to keep the boxers on.
That is exact. He literally was like,
yes.
Oh, can you name what Marvel character this guy is? And I had to think about it. And for some reason, my first thought was, what is it? Nightshade, the blue.
The application of his power is more Nightshade.
Kind of teleports, but
right. The attitude.
Chaos, he's,
I'm right there with you, Jaded.
That's a good way to explain it. Like, if you enjoy Deadpool, it's a similar witty banter, and you would enjoy this. And he definitely has broken the fourth wall and knows that he's a time-traveling ninja.
Yes. Speaking of superheroes, I want to double back to the Batmobile that we were talking about.
Yes.
And just his obsession with his adopted sister and meeting up with her. Like, when things happen to his car, he loses it, right? Like, is it Wasp? Wasp is the meta guy that basically like wrecked his car.
Mosquito,
thank you. Wrecked his car, and he wanted to he already wanted to abort and go back to his save point.
And yeah, he used the A-bomb.
He's like, you see this car? A-bomb. Boom. But that's the only other thing that's been consistent in his life, right? Traveling around in his car and working on it. And
yeah, and then like as the story progresses, it just solidifies it where Len has potentially figured out how to transmit other things back due to his radio that she's listening into, and how it can listen to alternate timelines. And then with the power of the suit that we get at the very end from Voltron, it's we're gonna end up with a lot of things in tech. I envision Len creating the Batcave, our vehicle getting souped up, and definitely being able to run around in our mech now that we have it. Our Chrono radio.
Yeah. Thank you, Jade.
Able to listen through time or multiple
pass.
Multiple pass. And that's what makes me hesitant for this most recent reset, because at the end of it plays back his recording that he has with Len. So is that finally a divergence? Because he always felt like he just gives a blackout and he resets it for the current existence. But for that to be considered or continue for an alternate, and as far as we know, it didn't have a radio relevant. So is his power, his Schrodinger cat, what is allowing it to be transmitted?
I think it utilizes the same quote, like magic of the purple world.
Yeah.
Right. We pretty much learned that each one of the different colors taps into a different energy source. And through quick save, we get to see the purple world and how he's able to interact with it. And when he tries to explain it, because it's pretty much like the Schrodinger's cat theory is like he's alive and dead, right?
Yeah.
Because like at his save, he exists. And that's when they're in the box. And then like when he's out, up until when he dies, and then he exists back at his save and can like go from there.
I enjoyed that whole concept, and it seemed like it's a thought experiment to begin with, but such a simple concept to expand and have a whole power set out of. And then the way that possible powers have multiple applications, and we get to see that with Sai, who is the weird tentacle skull head guy, as well as quick save having that being both powers are the same power.
Or it's different applications of it, right? Like how to utilize it. And again, the author just does like a great job with the foreshadowing and like dropping in the details of quick save's story and everything, and just like the whole progression with these loops, right? As we play the different paths and learn the different details, and that these different characters have history, like him and Lynn, but also the meta guy that you're talking about that taps into the girl. The orphanage. Apologies, guys. We're so bad with names. I know who you're talking about.
Psyshock?
Sounds right.
And that's another thing that I could see a majority of people wanting more, taking more, becoming a psycho where they have other random phenomenons going on due to everything.
So yeah, Psyshock. Oh, I just had it pulled up. So the lieutenant's Psyshock, who we're talking about, who's pretty much like a machine tapping into people's brains. Acid Rain, who also accesses the purple world. right? Like we see when we interact with her, they have different abilities because we talk about how the elixirs have no same like power set.
Yeah, it's random, and that if someone else has got it, you won't get it.
Right, but it has like they still use the same magic system, right? Like the purple world.
I don't
he
have
stops time, and acid rain like pretty much like teleports through time or whatnot. It's not necessarily like a save or a pause. It's more of like a movement.
Hers is to swap two objects because she swaps with a raindrop.
Right, and then she swaps with a grenade, and yeah, that's crazy. So I'm thinking of that scene that we just talked through, and like for me, the combat was a lot of fun. Being our combat junkie, was there enough combat for you? How did you feel about it with Perfect
There was a lot of combat. It was enjoyable, and it was dynamic enough with parameters, so he can freeze time, do stuff, but between his Deadpoolness and the comic relief and everything, he didn't just want to win all the time. But we also saw how that didn't work out, as well as he has been doing it for so long. It's kind of like martial arts or whatnot, where he's got the muscle memory to interact and to see things on a reflex. So that was insightful. I'm curious for more like for our team. If I was going by my lit RPG rules, we're going to have a party of 5 or 6. We've got, and of course we're going to stick with the Killer 7 method for one of every color. And so we've got not indigo. We've got violet with quick save. We've got blue with Len. And then I would have thought we got Vulcan with blue, but I don't think she was pretty much like, I just want this to be a one-time fling. Go to Wyvern, who I can't remember what Wyvern is. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to build our super team, and we're going to have our Len build our Bat Cave, and then we're going to ride around in the Batmobile.
A couple more that he kind of when he goes down the different
Samurai
path.
And then Atom Cat. And...
Yeah. So the Samurai was basically with our corporate guys, where he had
Augusty.
Yeah, the girlfriend who Wyvern Screen.
Okay,
Thank you,
Wyvern Screen.
Yeah. Turn into a dragon. That's right.
Okay, yeah, because green is like biology, so to speak. Yeah.
And then Felix the cat, he has red power set.
Yeah.
We do a run with him in book 1.
What does Jamie have?
Jamie?
Yeah, or well, it's like materialization because he like summons.
Oh, he has a samurai sword. Yeah. I can't remember if we learn if his is an actual elixir or if it's one of the knockoff elixirs.
Or I thought his was a real one because they made him who he is in more ways than one.
But they sell the knockoff elixirs.
Yeah, but they have a war chest. Okay, Jamie's red as well. Well, okay, I guess we're not going to do the whole different power set thing. I don't know. It's not relevant to it, but I
just
have an urge for building our team.
Book 2, like we get to see the character development with quick save, where he has this resignation to form attachments, right? In the first interaction with Jamie, he'd rather go back to the hotel because that's how his loops have gone up until this point. He died once. He wants to be there so Wyvern can find him to thank him about Ghoul, give the recruitment pitch. Vulcan hitting him up afterwards saying, hey, we're the better option. And he's like, oh, I don't want to get too close. And then like he kind of
ends up getting close anyway because when he deals with Shroud and he through the multiple loops, and like that was also beautifully done because we think there's only 2, and then we get the alternate path, and then we figure it out a couple times, and then we have a roadblock at the same spot when Luigi is just not working out. And,
hockey's a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many thoughts in different directions to go there. But yeah. We like to read books and find the different little like nuggets and life lessons, and getting to see quick save approach problems in different ways. Sometimes you just have to take a player off the board like Luigi.
Yeah. He still didn't kill him. It wasn't,
just beat him.
Yeah.
And that becomes one of the things each time he's trying to complete the perfect run. And I'll give it to quick save. Luigi just wouldn't let it go. Each time he tried to dodge it, Luigi was too good at his job. But then every perfect run, we got to take care of our boy Ghoul. Sometimes you change it up. Sometimes you get yourself a truck. Other times you use your car. Other times you go complete, we're going to do this anime style where I give you Stockholm Syndrome and we become best buds, and you cool my tea off, and
you become my Robin.
Yeah. But the longer it goes and we see quick save kind of go through that character development, Lynn's part of his perfect run. His deal with Polly, his one wish, is part of his perfect run, where he takes care of the meta gang.
Yeah.
And then, he bonds with all these different characters, right? Like Sarah, the girls. So then like the orphans become part of his perfect run. Felix the cat.
I honestly
don't go after Jamie. Like Shroud becomes part of it. Like
that's where the dynamics get kind of weird, because we primarily deal with Wyvern and Vulcan, and they were a duo, but then had a falling out, and they're separate. And then you've got the big wigs, which is Augusti and I can't think of the guy's name, but anyway, you have Lightning Dad and the other guy.
That's true, Mystery Master. I forgot about the cat.
Oh, and the cat. Luigi, I felt like was good comic relief, but as far as like his power set and the character, I don't know.
He'd be a good guy to have around.
The fact that the cat, well, okay, so this is a separate line of thought. And his cat survives the bomb. He pretends as if it's a Schrodinger's cat, and it amplifies his power twofold. No one said other biology can't accept elixirs and that it doesn't work. Like, these things have been around.
Have you read book 2? Have you not read book 2?
I have not, but if Wyvern can become a dragon and she has Hulk clothing that reshapes to her body, and we have the luxury of making cashmere suits, I'm pretty sure animals can. Yeah, as well as a side series, another series that we do, they have the cats who are Neanderthals who, pop in and out because they're neutral. But besides the point, I think, yes, the cat has potential.
So what other animals are we supposed to watch for? Giant spiders, rabbits, cats, squirrels, dragons.
I think anything's fair game.
They have tested it on animals, Mystery Master says. Interesting.
Well, that, and from the one insight we get with Ryan and Len going on the boat, seeing the alchemist letter to whoever it was that got it, they were given 3 elixirs and told not to take more than 1. So what do you do with the other 2? If you take 1, what do you do with the other 2? So you give them to, it's pay it forward kind of method where you help out someone else. And then, of course, we've not been able to fully replicate it yet.
There's so many cool power sets. Jaded Chaos says Nidhogg is a KM long giant snake. Yeah. There's just a lot between all these different factions that we come in contact with.
Yeah.
We get to see Wardrobe a little bit in this book, right? When we have the big fight
we
at
get
the...
to
she can do some friendly banter with him.
Dies as we perceive.
Right.
Due to Mortimer, who is our phase through solid objects guy.
Part of the 7 that's not 7.
Yeah.
Who can't stick to a theme.
And his...
Mystery Master says, and he is Norwegian.
Okay. But yeah, they're for as post-apocalyptic as it is, it's not. They try to save a lot of people, and like I was saying before, the two big guys really don't want to attack each other because whatever Monaco, I'm pretty sure, is where they had their big battle, or the other place that sunk. Wardrobe was his rival, and they had the great banter.
Yes.
But then she dies, as we think. But these powers are not very well explained, but that is by design, and most of the people don't even fully understand their own powers. So how could we?
Yeah. Well, it's not like they go to school for it, right? They take these elixirs, and it's kind of a question about like,
you just
what
figure
limits
it out as you go.
What limits are you putting on yourself with these powers if you don't quite understand how it works? Jaded Chaos says, imagine drinking a green and becoming the panda when someone like Nidhogg can turn into Jormungandr. Yeah. And or Wyvern the dragon, and or yeah. And yet it makes you wonder why they turn into it and how the magic system works. Because again, we talk with Quicksave and Vulcan about like
the
when
people
you
who
get
take the real elixirs have infinite power and can pull it from whatever universe it comes from. When people who take the knockoffs have to use their own calories or their own influx to make it work.
Right. Like that fire division or whatever that Vulcan made the armor suits for.
And then that's where we have the potential to either amplify others, and I think that's either a unlock for utilizing multiples, because currently we have the car has a chrono radio. Len thinks she can do stuff with water to transport things back, and so like the creations can interact, but an individual, if they consume 2, they get mutations and they start breaking down, then they become psychos. But yeah, I think that could be a way of harnessing the power like they do for the fire and then using it elsewhere.
The author does a good job with the story, and like while it is a dystopian post-apocalyptic world, it's very much like what they do with the power sets, right? At this point in the story, it's been a couple of years. Like we've had several world-ending events, like Megatron or whatnot,
or Mechron,
and like you were talking about with the geniuses with the blue elixir and their powers and their abilities of what they can do. They have the potential to create these utopias, these underwater, self-enclosed, places, and just like what all the other geniuses can accomplish.
Yeah, and how Vulcan is
she's like a weapons specialist, right?
Or yeah, she's a rocket without a tripod or something.
Yeah.
And then Len can only do underwater stuff. And
They're also geniuses. Like they're still really smart, but that's not their specialty. Like where they just truly excel and create these, otherworldly Gundam, Zoid. Let's trademark the moon with our giant laser.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's a fun character.
Very much so. As well as we've got more people added, and like I'm a little disappointed because it didn't quite come to a conclusion, but it definitely lived up to the cliffhanger where there is a lot of potential going forward. I believe we do have the mech. We did make it back to where we were going. But we have not solved the problem of Mecron's bunker and the the psychos, but that's not them. The meta, is that what I'm thinking?
The meta,
yeah. The meta group.
Adam and Frank are secret agent. Yeah, that's a great point. Mystery Master says Ryan is not a genius, Blue, but he is a genius because he's lived lifetimes and worked with genius
and had the chance
on their
to look at it.
Yeah. And he has a thing for geniuses shorter than him. So everybody has a type. And after he's tried them all, including a 20-year binge when he tried every substance imaginable and even learned how to cook them. You need a cook? Good looking out, Mystery Master. Red is for energy. Orange is for matter. Yellow for concepts. Green for life. Blue for information. Violet for space-time. And white for meta powers. And one of the meta power examples, there's cancel. And then I believe they talk about in this book, there's one that could use multiple elixirs, was one of his meta powers.
I think the only guy we get is Lightning Dad.
Yeah.
Other than that, the other white I was thinking of is when they're going up against Micron, and it's the lady who connects everybody. She gets assistance.
A VoIP?
Yeah. Essentially, she gets antenna boost on her signal to utilize it.
If you had to pick a color, what would it be?
Oh man,
it's a hard one.
I mean, I would have to say I would probably want Violet just because of the scene where we get Ghoul and Saren going up against Quicksave, and he's like, your name is Blower, and blah, 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 blah. And he goes off on this tangent, and he's like, my household products can do that. And, my fan was $15 where I hold the linchpin of all reality. And so, that would be exciting. But if not that, I would like probably green just for
I could see
growth and because it's had a lot of interesting applications here because we had
Blackthorn,
or I guess Blackthorn was kind of cool because it was like the new Batman's Ivy.
That's true.
Then we had Goat Lady who does the bliss stuff, so she can create plants and animals. But then you also have like Wyvern where she can morph herself. So I think that would be a fun one to just find out multiple things, create a Venus flytrap that's going to eat them up and then become the Silver Surfer and, bungee jump plant into... I think there could be a lot of growth and potential for a green.
They all have their strengths. I would probably go blue, because
black they don't. They say they can't really harness power.
Not in book one. Oh, what would I mean?
All we know of it is essentially chaos at this point. In book one. Ryan definitely makes Violet very appealing. Or even for Acid Rain, other than her being a psycho and her having other ones, like being able to teleport between two objects makes me think of what is it, the fourth Hokage or third? Naruto's dad, where he does all his like throwing dart shuriken things, then transports between them, and then gets lost out in the field and just goes home and picks up his next. And there's a lot of potential appeal, and yeah, the Rain's pretty cool, and she must have a weapon stash somewhere, which is
yeah. You wouldn't have to get up to get the remote. You just like go to the remote.
I guess that's true. I would still lose everything because I'm the
guy
to
know where it's at
who will lose my phone if it's in the wrong pocket. So that may not be the one for me, actually.
And you can't call it if you don't have it.
What is this?
Mystery Master says his catchphrase is "I'm immortal, but don't tell anyone." Yeah. Fortuna's power is broken. Yeah, Felix's sister.
Oh, the
when
luck.
We go all out firing guns for like 15 minutes, including stealing the machine guns from the guards. But he has his super secret scissor technique. Yeah. And then Jaded Chaos says, because everyone forgets, in reference to the "I'm immortal, but don't tell anyone."
Yeah, well, I guess he does end up utilizing it once with Shroud when he's like, "Oh, I'm immortal," but you already know that. It's like, oh well. It's yeah.
Mystery Master says Ryan pulls out several firearms and uses them all to try to hit Fortuna. Her power makes him miss all shots, and she believes her power is luck, right? And she's just like such a funny character.
But I think it also has to do with like mental application, because she has that moment where she kills the two. And how did it happen? Yeah. So it's
had
the whole 10 seconds just checking it out, being like
first time I went through that, I'm like, this girl is freaking texting her brother who doesn't want to talk to her in the middle of a gunfight. Just chilling.
What's that line?
When everyone else is like fighting for their lives, dying around her, etc., etc.
Yeah, we only lost one guy at the beginning.
And she just like goes all off and just starts firing it and not even aiming, and people get taken out. Right?
Yeah, that's well, see, and like when you are that sure of yourself, there's going to be a counter, just like when we meet Acid Rain, and he's like, man, the balance here is way off. So, yeah, it's luck as the yellow.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's another like vastly dynamic difference between, I'm a ghost. I can't think of his name. Yeah, it's essentially Casper, but
the one at the island.
Yeah, and he has that, and then the luck. I'm trying to think of other yellows we meet. I think those are the main ones.
Those are the ones that come to mind for me as well.
Yeah, they're not as directly applicable.
Fortuna's a funny character. Like when Shroud is around her, and that kind of makes you wonder if that's her powers interacting with it, like trying to protect her, because this is the guy that's blown up Ryan and a bunch of other people on previous loops, Shroud. So when he's like surveilling her, all of a sudden there's a gas leak. Wonder how that happened. And then she falls on him, gets sent directly to the guy and he's just like completely not interested in her, trying to walk away, trying to get away. And she's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, men throw themselves at my feet. How dare you walk away from me? He's the one.
Mysterious someone sent the elixirs by package to random selected population of the world, giving some people superpowers and changing the world overnight. Yeah, that's probably it's very exciting because it seems like a simplistic concept, but it's also very unique in the fact that like most people it's like radioactive spiders, radioactive whatevers, other stuff happening and going on. Like that's where the primary premise, or they're all so very similar, but for it to be alchemy based was just exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is very.
We get to see that scene in book 1, when they find the 3 elixirs.
Yeah, we get
ship,
to see
right?
the letter.
Mhm.
Book 1, Pluto is yellow as well as concept of death.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, each loop, it's interesting to see the different types of interrogations he goes through each time. Because the first time, she pretty much, or not the first time, but the first time they have a real conflict that he gets far enough, Pluto sees him. He's already been marked. And she's like, hey, I got places to be. I'm going to come back and talk to you. Right. And she's the one that realizes how old he is.
I guess I thought she was a Violet, like quick save, because that's the only way that marking him would have had an effect or conflicted and gone through time.
I don't think so, because she curses people.
Or she marks them and then she is death. So in my mind, quick save uses his power and creates a save point, or uses his power and stops time. She uses her power and erases your time. But that's also the only way that she can see the weight of time, is by being involved in time and space. But I don't know. I would be interested to see Pluto. Pluto's shadow is the shape of a monster with tentacles.
Plushy.
The plushie shadow is the shape of a monster with tentacles, appendages, defying the concept. That. And then there's another scene. I'm trying to remember where it's involved. It's on his espresso or his rampage, where he goes and he attacks the bunker, and someone has a seeing power, and they end up trying to look at it, and they pretty much lose it, because the concept of it is so alien, and that's where the multiple plushies. Or the whole plushie as an idea is a interesting character, because we know now that when it imprints on a child, it multiplies, as well as it remembers every time quick save goes back. On top of our very ending, when we go back and we see all the other plushies and we wave to them, like they're definitely still out there, and it could be something that never happens again, because there's so many different timelines, we're not going to interact with them. It could be the mothership, where they send out a beacon and now all the plushies assemble. It could be Ryan's in dire straits in a sad loop, and they help him out. The other thing that was weird there is it changed his save point, that when he first made it and he kept trying to, or no, I think it's the very first time he makes it, it ends up changing his save point to that day versus the previous day. So it had, I would assume it is the mirror image of white, where white has the ability to affect meta powers, but this is, I guess, the same but different, where it can use your own powers or harness the energy that you could potentially use.
The plushie?
Yeah, because
he sent the plushie to the purple world.
That's what we think. But I would say Macron or whatever, our guy who thinks he got to the blue world, where he didn't get to the blue world, he got to the black world. I would think that's what happened. We thought we got to the purple, but in reality, we got to the black, as well as all the elixirs were made, and there was only so many made. Did we harness all the causal connections of those other worlds, and that's why anyone who tries to get there ends up getting to the black world? I don't know. There's
yeah. I've read book 2, so we learned so much more about the magic system, quote unquote, and this author does a really good job. I'm tempted to look at some of his other books, because you said he's published a couple other series, right? We get a sample at the end.
He definitely faked me out with that ending.
When they give you a teaser.
But I knew it couldn't be, because it's the opposite concept. Because the perfect run is I can die as much as I want, develop the perfect run, save everybody I love, and go on about a merry way, where Never Die Twice, which is another series he does, and we got a snippet at the end of the Audible. It's the opposite concept of don't die. So yeah, more information about the elixirs and the magic for being in 2.
Yeah, he has a couple series. Van Queer Nightsbane, or The Dragon trilogy there. Perfect Run, we have 3 out. And I wonder if it's just going to be a trilogy there, because you could cover so much. And I've gotten through book 2. And in book 1, we're still in New Rome. Like, we're on loop. What?
We haven't. We went back. It's probably like 8 or 9.
More than
we
that.
we still haven't officially finished our objective. Like, we haven't set a new save point, so we're at the beginning of everything.
We don't have the perfect run. You only set a new save point after you have the perfect
for
run.
the zone. And
if it doesn't work off, as long as you turn it off without saving and turning it back on, it's as if nothing happened, except for we know more about it. Hence his name, that he doesn't want anybody to know his secret about how his powers work. But if you think about it in video game terms, his superhero name, Quick Save,
kind of gives it away.
It spells it out. Yeah.
A lot of potential for it. I'm definitely going to be continuing. It's a she.
Oh, Maxime. Thank you, Mystery Master.
Okay. Sorry for butchering that.
Void Herald. Cool.
Yep. She is a she.
Yeah. As always, it's really hard to do the books justice. Love the magic system. Love the scaling, the combat.
The power sets.
Yeah. Superheroes meet magic meets dystopian.
Well, yeah, and there's just like, even if we achieve the perfect run and we get Len and we have our kids and our bat cave and, our souped up death machine and our, giant mecha robot, we could still fall into another dimension and have a separate life and, become like he who fights with monster. The concept is dumpling soup, where everything in the universe or all the different dimensions are in dumpling soup, and based off of how much magic your world has is how much soup your dumpling absorbs. But there's also ways where you can get pulled from one dumpling to the other. Even if the perfect run ends, I could still see more coming from it, as well as with our power sets and our understanding and everything. there's a lot forward and backwards we can go.
And even just like the definition of the perfect run, right?
Yeah.
And how much that's changed since the very beginning, where it's just Fine Len and his list of people keeps growing. And I mean, we're already traveling with entities from another dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I guess there's Lightning Dad is pretty. Yeah, there are a lot of questions that haven't been answered.
Great point, Mystery Master. You get to see the good side and the bad side of the story, quote unquote. And
I think the only side we don't really get deep dive in is the meta. But even then, when they, have their big hurrah at the end,
we've talked about it before on the channel in different streams. But that's one of the things that really enjoy about stories is just like going to other dimensions, traveling in these other time-space travelers' shoes, and teleporting around with them, and just on top of that, going whole space and time, getting to see the different angles and the different dimensions of just this story, playing the different sides, the different progressions. Gosh,
it's a unique way of writing it, because normally you would have like multiple viewpoints from different, like you would get to see a snapshot of this is who we're going up against. Mm-hmm. But it's,
for the most part, we stick with Ryan, right? I think we get a couple Len viewpoints.
I think we have the when he's young and finds the elixirs and bloodstream arc. Mm-hmm. Then we have the Augusti guy, Lightning Dad, murdering people and kidnapping the daughter, or kidnapping the daughter. And then we have the Micron war with Leo, the Living Son. Or August, or go ahead.
Yeah, Mystery Master said the Augustus, aka Lightning Dad, was part of the 0.01% of the population that managed to drink 2 elixirs without degenerating into a psycho. This guy that's pretty much setting himself up as Zeus.
Yeah.
And we get to see pretty much his adopted daughter, how his dad and mom were pretty much trying to build this utopia in this post-apocalyptic world, developing plans to cure everything, but pretty much
flips it on its head.
Augustus was worried about this guy could cut anything.
Yeah.
He'd be a threat.
Well, and then that was another, like,
with the
snippets
there.
we get, the random interactions where she can create life, or she's a green and can interact with them, and then when she hits him, his body doesn't even register, and then like his body's also like caught in a state of non-existing or existing, whereas like his hair doesn't move, or he can't feel select things. On top of, he like somehow can kind of sense Ryan, and he comes up and he's like, oh, well, you're the abnormality that's been doing whatever. And
You'd
it's
make
like
a great Saturn.
You can almost sense him. So,
yeah.
And then the adopted or taken daughter, who Shroud wants to get back, or knew the mother. She's shown signs of the green powers, and she's a 2nd-gen genome. She has not shown signs of the.
I want to learn more about that, like the fact of
if it's the next
evolution of humanity, and how like the powers work. What happens when you mix the powers, right? Because the 0.01% with Lightning Dad can take it, but what happens when they have kids, right? Who's your favorite character? Jaded Chaos asks.
That is tricky. I mean, if we can't pick main characters, because like I do enjoy It just quick saves.
Yeah,
whole,
Ryan's awesome.
Whole shtick there. I would have to be the plushie. The rabbit plushie comes from another world, is sticking to the parameters of what was initially set there, can essentially do whatever it wants, but is like, you know what, this is a good TV series. Let me stick around and enjoy the ride and completely, utterly terrify everybody. It would probably be the plushie or I don't know.
So there's some that are just kind of like cool powers for the sake of powers. Felix, I think, is kind of fun because, again, like this
has
story,
a lot of potential to grow.
You know, in a way, it's kind of like X-Men, right? And I was a sucker for Gambit back in the original 90s X-Men, where he could pretty much throw his playing cards.
Yeah,
and Felix finds out that, you know, he can make things go boom and transfer that to whatever he touches. Gosh.
There was a lot of like unique power sets that would be interesting, but
I have to pause because we get to see a lot more screen time with different people in book 2. So thinking back to just book 1, we spent a lot of time with Ryan.
We spent a lot of time with like Ryan, Jamie. I guess everybody else is pretty spaced out.
Vulcan's kind of cool. She grows on you after a while.
Yeah, she's weapons of mass destruction.
Jaded Chaos says, with how Ryan's power allows us to see the perspective of all sides, I think it makes it really hard to play favorites. This is true.
And that's kind of what I was...
Vulcan kills him.
I was trying to say earlier is like the people who actually reach out to Ryan at the very beginning are Vulcan and Wyvern. While they used to be a duo and they used to be together. The big wigs who, you know, Cashmere Suit and Lightning Dad, they are in opposition, but are essentially achieving the same things or very similar things. So I think the real enemy is the meta, as well as we have the it's not clowns, it's Carnival. We have the Carnival who can come in and assist us. And then
Mystery Master in regards to favorite characters says Vulcan, Felix, Wardrobe, and Livia. Wardrobe's pretty cool. We get to see more of Wardrobe in book 2, and she definitely grows on me.
I think Wardrobe yet again has the potential for a lot, but I think I would be better with like one power that I can utilize well versus a million options and it not being as strong as the original. So I don't know. But then, Vulcan for making a bunch of stuff, as well as, you know, who doesn't love piloting giant mechs?
It's true.
Felix for everything goes boom. Kind of makes me think of, who's that grenade hand guy from My Hero Academia?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The childhood friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, what's her name there?
Livia. Definitely my favorite is what Jaded Chaos says.
Is that the goat bliss person? I'm drawing a blank on Livia for some reason.
I was about to say, I think the rest of us have actually read at least book 2. I have. Mystery Master says, can't forget the panda.
Yeah, yeah. The panda is currently comic relief, and I mentioned this offline that I foresee the panda becoming Kung Fu Panda, so to speak,
Yeah.
and coming into his own, um, as well as like, oh, I'm trying to think of another good one. I guess the Golden Compass doesn't transform in and out of form. It's just whether or not they have their armor on. But I could see a lot of utility being able to change your size and like dodge blows or switch to the other form to get bigger jumps. Or I foresee a Kung Fu Panda awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. You sure you haven't listened to the second book? Livia is part of the Augustus. She's the daughter.
Who Shroud's trying to find? Who does?
No. The actual blood daughter. She is the one that he meets at the party for the first time, and she can't see him. Like she can see into parallel universes, where she finds quick save so interesting
Oh, and he's like,
because
I bet I can do something that you wouldn't
yeah,
expect, you wouldn't
yeah,
see.
doing the
Yeah,
cashmere
we
suit
we don't
run.
get to see a whole lot of her in book one
Yeah.
because we just get to see her at the party for hey, do the suit thing.
And the interaction with Lightning Dad. She steps up and says, "Hey, like I told him to surprise me."
Yeah, and backs
So
him up,
saves
and
his
yeah,
bacon there. Jaded Chaos says Kira, Killer Queen from JoJo's, is basically Felix's power. There are a lot of JoJo's references in the series. I don't think I've watched
I've
JoJo.
seen a handful here and there, but
There are a
I
lot of
have
good
not
geeky
sat through.
references in this book. I'm not sure if it's in this one or book two, but there's a Star Wars reference. Because
Or yeah,
right
with the
now,
luck, I feel like a stormtrooper.
oh yeah, there's a couple Star Wars references then. But yeah, I need to watch. I need to bump JoJo's up on
It's
my.
been recommended a lot, and I've seen a handful, and at first glance, without diving too deep, it seemed kung fu slash Rock Lee Thai, more physical combat, but also absolutely
Combat?
outrageous.
You said combat?
So there's potential. It's been on my
Outrageous?
list.
Over the top?
I
Yes,
haven't gotten
please.
around to it yet though.
Yes, please. Um, Definitely recommend picking up the audiobook. If you guys haven't, the narration does a good job. Really feel the voice actor did a great job with Ryan,
Yeah. Yeah.
given all those Deadpool vibes. Um, yeah. Really appreciate the book suggestion, Mystery Master. As always, yes, send
Oh
us
yeah.
links.
We're
Send
we're we're okay
us.
with links. It's just when those random bots. I don't know if you're here for it, but past
Mhm.
couple we've had people come in and like, love me long time, go here, and it's like, not that kind of stream, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, Discord. Hit us up on Discord. More book suggestions, more anime suggestions, more mysterious links. Uh, yeah, yeah. I think we already have book two on our
Yeah, book
list,
two
right?
is our last one scheduled out. Um,
Keep tossing them our way. Need to look into when the Audible comes out for book three.
Two is scheduled for March 27th.
All right.
So yeah, it's ways out.
What do we got coming up next week? We are on Geek Out 113, Geek Out number 114.
So next week we have Jeff the Game Master Manufacturing Magic. So if I had to express this. It's essentially a little bit of everything lit RPG, where it primarily takes place inside a VR MMO or virtual reality multiplayer online role-playing game, and it has problems due to AI trying to figure out its parameters and players who are trying to be the best and the first and end up cheating to achieve their goals. So there's some conflict of interest. Yeah. And then like I want to say stuff, but I'm gonna spoil it. Do you have any better way of explaining it?
It's so hard. This one was a lot of fun. It does a different take on lit RPG, where a lot of times it's different variations. Pete and I just had fun going back and watching a bit of Sword Art Online, where the main characters are actually like trapped in the video game world. In this book, in a way, they are trapped in the video game world, but they're still able to go to the quote unquote meat suit world, right? We follow the main character where he's trapped by financial means, right? Like the guild master. We follow the main character is essentially a dungeon master for this world. The admin that you contact, game master.
Yeah.
And it's a fun perspective seeing it on the other side, because we're so used to seeing like the person that goes into the dungeon versus the individual that has to help fix the dungeon or the subscriber complaints. And Troy Osgood is the author that does the Sky Realms series that we started.
Yes, we need to get through more of the Sky Realms.
And go ahead.
So it deals with multiple people's perspective, and you kind of get to see a little bit of everything. You get to see from the game master fixing the bugs, going through the process. You get to see from the AI who is just trying to be a good little robot and do things by its parameters. And then you get to see people who are dealing with parameters going off the rails and the world as they know it evolving and changing. And it's a lot of different perspectives, but
it's fun to kind of see the potential to being a gamer. It's not that far out. Some of these books, they're like super in the future. We're not quite there, but this one still feels like our lifetime.
Seems feasible.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Bye. And then after that, so we got Jeff the Game Master, and then we also, that's next week. The one after that, we're going to Artifact.
Yeah, back to Artorian Archives.
Yep, book 8, I believe.
Almost current. Almost. We're getting there.
I think it's.
If you guys have been paying attention, the Divine Dungeon is one of our favorite series, and this is pretty much the extension of the Divine Dungeon universe. Great mix of cultivation fantasy and lit RPG, and seeing the development there, bridging the two different series together.
Yeah.
Is that non-spoilerly enough?
It's a great series by itself, but it is amplified by reading them chronologically as they come out. The original author of Divine Dungeon, Dakota Kraut, does very well with his causal connections or his puns or his interweaving of his continuations. This is kind of like a side arc that's also done with Dennis Vanderkerken, who really portrays or does very well with the grandfatherly old wise man. and where we're currently at in the series, it is meshing multiple. Yeah, it's the lore behind where we are and where we're going. So it's pretty far along. Let's see, 5 in the original, and then 8 here, and then I guess there's 6 in the continuation. So yeah,
of the Completionist Chronicles.
Yeah.
By the time this series is done, just from what we've picked up, you're looking easily 30-40 books for just the 3 series by the time everything comes to a
plus
close.
There's the Wolfman Warlock one, as well as he's building out the Lion's Lineage one. And then we still have, we could go forward or backwards on the timeline and figure out, more of Xenocide or other.
But it's all the same universe, but they each kind of have their own tone with the characters we follow. One of the reasons why I enjoy the Arcturian archive so much is since we follow Arcturian, this, sunshine and love grandpa, he's a scholar. He's a philosophizer. And like, I'm just a sucker for books like Dune, where you just get like heavy into just like philosophy and just like some of
lore.
That. Yeah. Just sitting there scratching your head, making you think about like, what is the embodiment of love with Arcturian as he masters his law. And it's a lot of fun. It's lit RPG. Really enjoying geeking out over this series. So many good series, off to a great start this year. Said it before, say it again. Keep throwing those book suggestions our way if you guys want us to rotate in and cover some other series. Discord, best way to reach out. Links down below. What else am I missing, Pete?
Pretty much sums it up. Like always, can't cover everything in the book. Enjoyed covering The Perfect Run. Best place is YouTube for seeing what's coming up next. And thank you again for everybody catching us live and catching us on the replay, and hope to geek out with you here soon.
Bye.
Bye.